Let me start by saying, my name is Greg Merrill, and I want to start with what I feel is a personal story about partner violence, which sort of has made this a focus of my career. I've been a social worker working since about 1990. Some of you have been working longer than that. But I have 20 years in the bank of social work, and most of my social work experience has been working with victims of adult partner violence. That's been a major focus of my career, both in terms of my practice background, program development and management, as well as some modest research that I participated in. But I want to tell you sort of what inspired that, which was as a child I had a favorite aunt who was also my mother's best friend, who was severely battered throughout my early childhood. And I, for example, when my brother was born a year after I was born, I stayed in their house. I was only a year old, but I stayed in their house for a couple weeks. And it was that kind of relationship I had with my aunt, where she was sort of like a second mother to me. And it became clear to me in my early childhood, although I don't recall witnessing anything, to be honest, I didn't witness anything, but I heard a lot of the adults talking about what was happening to my aunt. I saw her bruised, I saw her limping, and this went on for years. This went on for at least 20 years of her life. I have 3 cousins, and I'm very close to them. And they've not had good adult lives. And I'll share with you briefly, my oldest cousin committed suicide about 2 years ago. He had a long history of being in and out of psychiatric facilities and on all kinds of psychiatric medications, and he's been diagnosed with everything under the sun: bipolar, borderline personality disorder, PTSD, everything. The second child, also a son, overdosed on cocaine as a teenager, and I remember that because I was probably 12 at the time. So I remember one of my favorite cousins just dying as a teenager from a drug overdose. And my other cousin, a female, is actually a school teacher. She's an art teacher. She's an amazing mom. She has a great husband, and her kids are doing great, and she's doing great, and she suffers from tremendous anxiety that still sort of haunts her. So my own experience is just in a parallel universe. I grew up in a home without it, and my cousins grew up in a home with it, and we lived half a mile from each other. I really saw the differential impact it had on their health, their mental health, and what they were able to do in their lives and what I was able to do in my life. And so I didn't grow up in that kind of a home, but I really saw the contrast. And so that's really led me to have a lot of questions about how do we understand this problem? How do people get stuck in this pattern in all the different ways? And how do we help people by intervening sooner in protecting children and protecting battered victims and even protecting abusive partners from their own self-destruction? And so that's really what drives me and what I'm passionate about. So I'm thrilled to be able to share with you my passion today, but also the knowledge that I have, as well as hear the knowledge that you have. And I think of knowledge in 2 ways. I have a lot of knowledge from the literature. I've studied the literature a lot. I believe in evidence, and I look at the literature regularly. But I also believe in practitioner wisdom, which is you do the time out there and you learn a lot just from seeing the families and clients that you see. And I think probably the best practitioners combine both. And so I'll try to combine both today, but I'll also be interested in how you combine both. Does that make sense?